Shalom to the elect of Israel, to the hopeful elect of Israel, you Hebrew Israelites, you so-called Negroes, Latinos, Native Americans, West Indians, and Haitians. That to give all praises, honor, and glory to Yahweh, Bahashem, Yahweh Shah. The Most High, the Heavenly Father, his Hebrew name is Yahweh, not Yahweh, not Jehovah, not God, not Elohim, not Most High, not Lord, not Yah, not Jah, not Ahaya, not Allah. It's Yahweh. And his only begotten son name in the Hebrew is Yahweh Shah, not Yahshua, not Yeshua, not Jesus Christos, not Jesus Christ, not Serapis Christos, not Yeshaya, not Yehoshua. It's Yahweh Shah. So we got to give all praises, honor, and glory to Yahweh, Bahashem, Yahweh Shah, Bahashem, Rakat, Kodash. Double honors to the apostles and the bishops and elders of Great Millstone who rule well, who teach well, while the apostles and elders of all of Israel really accepted or not. And a sincere salutation to all the Akim pushing this truth and believing this truth throughout the four ends of the earth, the entire world, waking up the hopeful elect. And shalom to the Agua who are listening and learning, you few sisters who are listening and learning. Mosaic from Jim Messalino Camp coming at you with another lesson. And true facts, faith, and edification, on the day of edification, Lord, wouldn't be edifying. So I titled this lesson, The Lord Has Other Plans, News and Prophecy. Yahweh Shema Shah has other plans for Babylon the Great and every other kingdom around the world. So first I want to show, this is a copyright disclaimer under Section 107 of the Copyright Act 1976. Allowance is made for fair use for purposes such as criticism, comment, news reporting, teaching, scholarship, and research. Fair use is a use permitted by copyright statute that might otherwise be infringing non-profit, educational, or personal use tips the balance in favor of fair use. You see it. So, I got a few clips here I want to show. Because the Lord has other plans for Babylon the Great, man. Everywhere where these devils is destroying the earth, which is the entire planet, the Lord, Yahweh Shema Shah, has other plans. So let me show this first. Let me turn this volume down. It's clock, I wasn't even expecting that. Hold on. Hold on 1 second. Because here they go with it. I already had them queued this up. Here they go with the infomercial. Hold on. These devils, man. So you know what? Let's play this one first. Let's play this one first.
Update has to do.
Hold on. So like it. Turn this volume down. The one I had queued up, these devils, man. It's all good. I'll play it next.
My next update has to do with something called the BRICS. And I want to make sure you all are familiar with the BRICS because you're going to become more familiar in the years ahead, and it would be good to know it sooner rather than later. First of all, what are the initials? BRICS. And here's what it stands for: Brazil, Russia, India, China, and the S is for South Africa. Those 5 countries I want to talk to you about because they're having meetings. They've been doing that for years. They're getting their act together. They've been moving quite well along. And they are now a very powerful force. And that's why you need to know about them. And to see why they're so powerful, I'm going to tell you a little bit about what they're doing now. All right, let's begin. These 5 countries together have a population of 3.23 billion people. That's just shy of half of the people on this planet. So let me be clear with you. Those 5 countries have 10 times the population of the United States. We have 325 million. Those 5 countries, 3.23 billion. Do the arithmetic. This is an enormous part of this planet, much bigger than the United States. The total GDP, the total output of goods and services by these 5 BRICS countries, 23 trillion. That's interesting because that's a bigger economic footprint than the United States. So let me do it again. Those 5 countries together produce a quantity of goods and services per year larger than that of the United States. And we're not done. In recent years, 50% of the economic growth achieved in this world was achieved in those 5 countries and by those 5 countries. They are the engine of the world economy in a way that was once said of Western Europe, North America, and Japan, the engine, the powerhouse, the growth mobile, all of that. That's moved, friends, and it's moved in large part to the BRICS. And now an example of the importance that this alliance, this coalition, this bloc of countries, referring to themselves often as emerging economies, every one of them disagrees with the United States about the war in Ukraine. Every one of them. Every one of them continues to trade with Russia. No sanctions against Russia, none. In fact, the opposite. Many of these countries are now buying much more from Russia, replacing the West, the United States, Western Europe, and Japan as the major customers to whom Russia looks. That, of course, builds and strengthens the solidarity of the BRICS. They're also developing their own international currency, their own international payments system to get around the blocking that the United States sanctions have imposed on Russia and people who trade with Russia. They are finding the solution by going around, by developing their own alternative system. Watch out. This is part of the decline of US capitalism, of the US empire, and of the subordinate position of Europe and Japan in relationship to that empire. The BRICS is the up and comer, important to see.
Hey, and this shows you that when the Lord say in Isaiah 47 to stand now without enchantments, but their enchantment is not going to work. See, these devils been using witchcraft, man, for the longest of time. The same way how they brainwashed you so-called us, so-called Negro, Latino, Native Americans, West Indians, and Haitians. And we have been trusting in the system for so long. Well, these other nations were brainwashed too, man, right? Through the enchantments and the witchcraft of North America, Babylon the Great. Well, now we see their witchcraft is not working. It's not working on these heathen nations that's been joined to them. It's not working on the whole elect, man. See, the Lord is waking up. Hey, the Lord is waking up the whole elect and the heathen nations. When the Lord said now in Ezekiel 38 that he's going to put the hooks into the jaws of Gog and Magog, right? Well, he's doing the same thing, man. He's doing it to the whole elect, waking us up to this truth, and he's doing it to these nations, man. Everybody is turning back and seeing what's real, man. Let's get this. So these devils are trying to go around North America, Babylon the Great. The same way how the Lord put the spirit on us to wake up and come out of that slum of being bewitched, beguiled, right? Everybody is waking up, man. This is the spirit the Lord got in the earth now, man. Everybody is seeing North America for what they really are, man. So let's play this. It might have some infomercials, so Salakia.
The United States is going to hell in a handbasket, and today we have brought you 15 facts that prove so. Most people out there still don't realize that we're being controlled by a system led by people who are not interested in preserving our constitutional rights.
And that's through witchcraft, man. Enchantments, man. Now the Lord got the spirit in the earth to wake up, man. The hopeful elect and the heathen nations. Everybody is waking up, man. Okay? That's why the Lord say, stand thou with thy enchantments. Let's see if they shall save thee. Because nobody is being enchanted anymore, man. That little spell that North America, Babylon the Great had on the nations, it's over, man.
Our personal freedom or our self-reliance. They want us divided. They want us angry at each other. They want us financially dependent and constantly scared so they can rule us more easily. That's why our country is facing such a steep moral, economic, financial, and political decline. The truth is that no political party, government agency, or philanthropic corporation is actually making any real effort to avoid the total collapse of our democracy. In this video, we revisit an analysis published by the writer and longtime prepper M.D. Creekmore, and we also compile a series of reasons why things are going terribly wrong in America. Before checking this list, please give us your support by leaving a thumbs up in this video and subscribing to our channel so you don't miss our future lists. Without further ado, here are 15 reasons why the United States is going to hell in a handbasket. 1. Free trade with our arch enemy, Communist China. China is not our friend. It is rapidly overtaking the U.S. economically and geopolitically, and it will soon surpass the U.S. militarily. But still, we continue to import and consume billions of dollars of products made in China each year. We have outsourced the production of several goods and the processing of raw materials to China, making us increasingly more dependent on a nation that is ideologically opposed to our morals and values. Meanwhile, the Chinese government continues to use those funds to strengthen its military and expand its technology. In fact, over the past 3 decades, instead of supporting our own military forces, the U.S. has been exporting to China advanced technology that could be used against us in a potential confrontation. 2. The decline of the traditional family. We used to be a nation that promoted morality and the belief in God, but today we're a country where the most perverse and ungodly acts are seen as normal. Depravity is not only accepted, but promoted and glorified. To make things worse, those who are brave enough to speak up against this growing immorality are accused of inciting hatred.
There it is. You see it? He said, what? Those that's pushing the truth of Yahweh Shema Shah, they are known as radicalized, right? This is Hosea 4. Gotta read this right now. That's why this place is going to hell in the handbasket. Hosea 4:1. Hear the word of the Lord, ye children of Israel, for Yahweh have a controversy within the heavens of the land, because there is no truth, nor mercy, nor knowledge of God in the land.
Consequently, those who defend honorable values are being increasingly silenced, while degenerates continue to infiltrate our society.
And they showed us that in the movie Demolition Man. Okay? Everybody that took the MOTB was living good on top of the earth, man. Right? The ones that didn't was rebels underneath.
3. The U.S. is facing a moral collapse. Right now, everywhere we look, we and our children.
Ever wondered why some people can eat whatever they want and never gain a pound? Here's why. An award-winning
get instantly bombarded with obscene images in books, magazines, movies, music, and TV. This constant flow of promiscuity has corrupted the minds of the American people and continues to expose younger generations to perversion and depravity. 4. People are no longer believing in God, the Bible, and Christian values. A Harris poll conducted with thousands of American adults found that more and more Americans described themselves as not very religious. And according to a Daily Mail report titled "Americans Starting to Lose Faith, Belief in God and Miracles Declines as Darwinism Becomes More Popular."
Right.
Today, more people believe in the theory of evolution than in the Word of God. For decades, we've been abandoning the religious principles that this nation was built on. Those beliefs have held us together and made us strong. But now it appears that we're banning God from our country and our lives. 5. We are not as free as we think. After 9/11, our personal freedom, privacy, and constitutional rights have been on a rapid decline. Today, we're constantly surveilled and recorded. We can even be detained and held indefinitely without a trial or due process. In his article, M.D. Creekmore noted that the so-called War on Terror has been used as an excuse to trample on individual constitutional rights and to increase the power of the government and the ultra-wealthy that control the country from behind the curtains. Scare the population enough, and they will willingly turn over their freedom and rights for a promised margin of safety, he stressed. 6. We actually...
Now, he said in the beginning of 5 that people think they free, right? And this is a quote from a guy named Johann Wolfgang. He say, "None are more hopelessly enslaved than those who falsely believe they are free." You ain't free here, man. Okay, we talk about this all the time, man. You can't just leave North America, man, and go to Europe or Italy or Spain or go to Jake Love talking about going to Cancun and all these other places. You can't just go to Brazil, man. You got to get a passport and be gone, be gone outside of your days, man, and watch what happened to you. We are not free, man. So the quote said again, "None are more hopelessly enslaved than those who falsely believe they are free." You see, it tell you in Jeremiah 15:33, man. Israel and Judah were pressed together, and all that took them captive held them fast. They refused to let us go, man. We are not free. But Jake believed that falsely, man.
do not have any political choice. Most people like to think they have a choice when they enter the voting booth, but the truth is that they don't. There's very little difference between Republicans and Democrats, and neither party represents our population or makes any effort to defend our individual rights or the Constitution. What we have is a one-party system that is disguised as a two-party system to give voters the false impression that they do have a choice and that there's hope for change.
See, that's that lamb in Revelation. It had 2 horns like a lamb, but spake as a dragon. Yeah, the plebeians and the patricians, man.
In reality, both parties are controlled by the same establishment that really runs the nation behind the scenes,
Right.
which leads us to the next talking point.
The elites, man.
7. Our political system is rigged. As former governor of Minnesota, Jesse Ventura, once said, when you spend millions of dollars to get elected to a position that pays $100,000 a year, we know those figures don't add up. They are all a bunch of crooks. Money, ego, and a hunger for power has corrupted the American political system. 8. The school system is an indoctrination system. According to Creekmore's analysis, the government-ran school systems are nothing more than indoctrination centers for our children, a place where they can be molded to the liking of the government via propaganda.
Don't we keep talking about this? This system, man. You're the image of the beast, man. We have been programmed for hundreds of years, man. Be programmed by the system, man. So when they push the MOTB, that you gonna say, yes, I will. Like robots, man. Yeah. White supremacy, man.
The government's indoctrination trains children to be dumbed down adults that cannot think for themselves, that do not have personal beliefs, personal thoughts, or personal opinions, and are forced to do what they are told by the authorities through the government.
That's why when you got an opinion, you becomes a problem, man. Going back to the movie Demolition Man. Okay? When you got an opinion, it's a problem, man. They need you dumbed down, man. And we all know this. But it's showing you how the Lord saying in Psalm 64 and 7, it say, power shall shoot at them with an arrow, suddenly shall they be wounded, so they shall make their own tongue to fall upon themselves. All that see them shall flee away, man. You see these devils, the Lord have wounded these devils, man. And everybody is sick of these devils, man. Them that sit behind palace walls, drinking blood and eating raw meat, pushing laws, making policy. The world is tired of these people, man.
Government-controlled mainstream media. 9. The vast majority of
Salaki.
news
I gotta run that back. Salaki.
system is an indoctrination system. According to Creekmore's analysis, the government-ran school systems are nothing more than indoctrination centers for our children, a place where they can be molded to the liking of the government via propaganda. The government's indoctrination trains children to be dumbed-down adults that cannot think for themselves, that do not have personal beliefs, personal thoughts, or personal opinions, and are forced to do what they are told by the authorities through the government-controlled mainstream media. 9. The vast majority of news we watch, read, or listen to every day comes from government and corporate-controlled media outlets. Most
And what's
broadcasts
media? It goes back to medium, which is witchcraft, man. We already know this. The Lord gave it to us first in the scriptures, man. That's why the Lord has other plans, man.
we see on TV on a daily basis are only reporting the talking points that have been provided for them by government agencies and corporations. Major mainstream news organizations have already admitted doing that. Those who are actually in positions of power push their agenda and views to influence us in our decision making and to make us believe that they're considering what's best for us. This is called mass media brainwashing, and it's all around us. 10. They're even trying to take control over the internet. According to the NSA, plans are being introduced to create a Chinese-style control program named the National Strategy for Trusted Identities in Cyberspace that aims to force every internet user to give up their privacy, be labeled, and tracked even further than they already are. 11. Political correctness has become a smokescreen. Social issues are being constantly inflamed by operatives of the federal government to keep our population tense, divided, and on edge. The mainstream media uses these problems to keep everyone occupied, pointing fingers and fighting with each other. In that way, we don't see what's really going on in our country, our economy, and our freedom. As Creekmore brilliantly noted, they want to keep us divided so they can better lie to and control us. 12. Less self-reliance and more government dependence. Another important aspect considered by the writer is that our society used to be filled with individuals that practice self-reliance and personal responsibility. But times have surely changed. Today, millions of people are extremely dependent on the system, and government programs not only exclude those who are self-reliant, but frequently trap individuals and families into long-term dependence, leaving them incapable of escaping their condition for generations to come. 13. Foreign companies are taking over our business and property sector. Several foreign corporations have been buying up thousands of U.S. businesses and purchasing land in the United States. For instance, China bought 90% ownership of AIG's airplane leasing unit, International Lease Finance Corporation, for $5.28 billion. According to a CNBC report, the Chinese are on a buying spree, sweeping up every energy and natural resource in the United States that they can get their hands on. And they're even buying up and taking control of the U.S. food supply. China's largest acquisition to date of a U.S. company, Smithfield Foods, is raising interest among market watchers who question China's interest in taking possession of one of America's largest food producers. 14. Today, anyone who disagrees with government policies can be considered someone who has a psychiatric disorder.
Right.
Psychiatrists now can legally say that nonconformity is a mental illness.
Right.
Creekmore notes that this is being done for a couple of reasons, which include the government's will to take away our rights or send us to prison indiscriminately, and also send a
That's that Revelation 2 and 10, man.
message to others that they should keep their heads down and remain compliant. Otherwise, they'll face the consequences themselves.
That's those ones that's being radicalized, they say. These radicalized, the ones that's speaking against the government, man. All this is going to unfold, man. This is prophecy playing out real time.
And 15. Our national debt is overwhelmingly large. The current national debt now stands at $30,733,760,822,603.
And actually, it's over 200 trillion. It's over 200 trillion, man. Go look at the debt clock.
It won't take too long before this huge debt load crashes the U.S. economy. Major countries are already starting to lose confidence in the U.S. dollar and dumping Treasury-backed securities by the millions. Since 1913, our currency has continually lost value and our buying power has steadily shrunk. When the rest of the world realizes the proportions of the mess we've got ourselves into, they'll stop lending to us and everything will fall apart in our nation. Of course, this won't happen overnight. It's been happening for years, and as we are getting closer to the end.
Hold on, look at Rome. Look at the Colosseum. Rome all over again. Right here in Babylon the Great, man. The revised Roman Empire.
And as we are getting closer to the end, this whole process will be put into overdrive. The reasons we have presented in this video today are just a few of the problems that are leading our nation to its ruin. We could actually go on because more and more problems emerge in our country with each passing day. We're living through exceedingly dark times, and our freedom is under threat. We must share the word and start taking action.
Hey, the word has been going out, man. The word has been going out. Now this the brother just put this in the chat. Let me play this real quick. Listen to this.
Listen to me. For the last 48 hours, there is a war between America and Iranian proxies in eastern Syria. Listen to me, folks, again. Back and forth, missiles exchange, Apache gunship helicopters attacking, F-16s attacking, F-35s attacking, more rockets from one side to another.
All right, guys, I
US
finally figured out how to
injured. Iranian top officials and top officers killed. Listen, nobody's telling you that. There is a war going on between U.S. forces east of the Euphrates River and the Iranian backed militias west of the Euphrates River, next to the city of Abu Kamal, Al Mayadin, and others, right close to the Iraqi border. So again, if you don't follow me on Telegram, you have no idea that there is a war going on in the Middle East between America and Iranian militias that, and by the way, America admitted that the drone that attacked the US base in Al Tanf, close to the border with Jordan, the drone was Iranian made. Iran is the one that provided those drones to its militias to attack US soldiers. And as US soldiers are being wounded, injured, and they're fighting a battle right now in the Middle East, the US government is negotiating with Iran on a new deal that is 10 times worse than the deal of 2015. Now, these breaking news that I'm giving you right now are not about the war between America and the Iranian proxies, but it's Israeli strike that took place just a few minutes ago. Israel just attacked minutes ago 2 main targets related to Iranian Revolutionary Guards Corps. In Tartus on the coast, which is very surprising, this is where Russian soldiers and Russian airplanes are, and also in Masyaf. This is why you need to follow me on Telegram. Look, I have videos, pictures, maps, and all the details there. And it's funny because hours after I report, then the Pentagon is releasing statements confirming the battle between the US soldiers and the Iranians. I don't understand how your media in the rest of the world is not talking about it. So, a war between Iranian proxies, a war between Israel and Iranian proxies, America and Iranian proxies, and in the meantime, America is running towards a deal with Iran that will actually give Iran billions of dollars into their pocket. For what? Not for their own people, but for their own missiles, UAVs. And if you don't know what's going on right now, let me tell you, Iran is in the middle of an exercise where they're using 1,500 different drones simultaneously, flying and just checking how they are doing. There are some issues that the Israeli intelligence detected in those exercises. Their GPS is penetrable. Also, I want to tell you something that is very, very surprising. I don't know why they do that. If you go to my Telegram channel, you'll find that Iran is using fake news, fake videos to report supposedly a successful exercise. If you go to my channel on Telegram is Behold Israel Channel. One word, Behold Israel Channel. Those actually 3 words, but in one. And listen, I show there an Iranian TV host reporting on this successful exercise where supposedly a UAV is exploding right on target, but they made a horrible mistake in editing the fake news because the explosion is the wrong way, and the explosion was planted behind the reporter without him even knowing that, because he has no clue there was an explosion behind him. So you can watch it on my Telegram channel. Folks, go to, this is the most reliable, accurate, and on-time news channel from the Middle East for you guys. I do that, and I provide tons of more information. U.S. war against Iranian militias in eastern Syria. Israeli strike as of a few minutes ago on Iranian militias on western Syria. A war is going on while U.S. is actually going to accept the terms of Iran for another deal. It's heartbreaking. This deal is going to be the last straw in the Middle East. I'm telling you that. And everybody In fact, the top of the Mossad just said that this is an Iranian deception. He said, America is giving in to an Iranian deception. That's what he just said. Now, the head of the Mossad will never say that unless there is a great need to. This is exactly, by the way, what my newest novel, By Way of Deception, is talking about. Mossad operations, the Iranian race for nuclear bomb. And this is why we urge people to pre-order it, because that's the only way we can get the gospel that is in that book to go to secular bookstores all around the world and being purchased by many non-believers. Now listen, again, go to Telegram channel, get the news. There's a war going on. Look, I'm not a sensationalist. Never was. I don't want to be. There are no clickbaits on my videos. I am not trying to get subscribers just for any, self-adoration or whatever. I want you to be educated. I want you to be informed. That's all. And I'm telling you, there is a war. I'm telling you, the Pentagon is admitting that, and I'm telling you, your media is not saying a word about it. Okay? So go and check my Telegram.
And it's titled Breaking News, U.S. and Israeli strikes on Iranian targets in Syria. Hey, man, we in them times, man. The Lord has other plans. The Lord got other plans, man. So let's play this. Oh, what is that? Jeremiah. Let me read this real quick. It's what it say, the least of the flock shall draw them out. That's Jeremiah chapter 50 and verse 45, it reads. Jeremiah 50 and 45. Therefore hear ye the counsel of Yahweh Shemashah, that he have taken against Babylon, and his proposes that he have proposed against the land of the Chaldeans. Surely the least of the flock shall draw them out. Surely he shall make their habitation desolate with them. Right? The least of the flock shall draw them out. It says, surely they shall make their habitation desolate with them. Who is the them? It's talking about these Edomites. 2nd Ezra, chapter 11 and 39 reads, Are not thou it that remainest of the fourth beast, whom I made to reign in my world, that the end of their times might come through them? That the end of their times may come through them, man. Them, Edomites. Let's read Jeremiah 50 again. Jeremiah 50 and 45, reading the point. Surely the least of the flock shall draw them out. Surely he shall make their habitation desolate with them, man. The Edomites. The Edomites, man. And the brother Ayash put a fire precept up. This is Isaiah 21 and 2. A grievous vision is declared unto me. The treacherous dealer dealeth treacherously, and the spoiler spoileth. Go up, O Elam, besiege, O Media. All the sign thereof have I made to cease. Yeah, man. And we know Iran and Russia is the ancient Medo and Persian Empire, man. And these are the same two nations that took down Babylon, man. There's nothing new under the sun, man. The same two nations that took down Babylon, the ancient Babylon, is going to take down Babylon the Great, among other nations, man. Assembly of great nations, as it says in Jeremiah 50 and 9. Yeah, let's go. Let's go. Hey, Yahweh Shemashah got other plans. So let's play this. The water for the precept, brother. Fire.
We must be
Hey, and that was breaking news. It's going down.
very straightforward with you today, because this is a very serious issue. After 2 years of continued interruptions in food production, global food supplies have gotten really tight. But now that extreme weather events are leading to the mass destruction of crops and the liquidation of beef cow herds, while a bird flu pandemic is resulting in the depopulation of millions of egg-laying chickens, food supplies are set to get even tighter. And when people start realizing that massive shortages are emerging everywhere, it's safe to say that things are gonna get a lot crazier. When even the United Nations starts using the word biblical to describe the famine that the world is facing, that is a sign that the hour is very late. Right now, food prices are aggressively shooting higher, but given that the Federal Reserve is still scrambling to contain inflation growth, this is about as low as food prices are gonna get for the foreseeable future, and that is gonna have very serious implications during the times that are ahead. We still have a window of opportunity before the next wave of trouble comes along, and in this video, we're going to show you why you should use this window of opportunity to buy lots of food and store it someplace safe. Before moving on, please make sure you leave a thumbs up and hit the subscribe button to stay up to date with the most important news. Now, when we talk about stockpiling food, some people often think that if they have a couple of months' worth of food stored up in their pantry, they will be just fine. But the truth is that this isn't nearly enough for the reality that we're about to face. We actually should have enough food to feed every single person in our household for an extended period of time. And honestly, many of us will need much more than that, because when widespread shortages and waves of panic buying start hitting our local grocery stores and supermarkets again, many of our friends, neighbors, and extended family members that did not prepare in advance will come knocking on our doors asking for help.
Shalom to all the Akim and the Atwaf on the comment board. Shalom, Yahabashim Abshah, Bahashim Rikah Kodash. Barakathum.
Millions of Americans out there are already struggling to afford their everyday necessities and turning to food banks to have enough to eat and to feed their children. The overwhelming demand that we are witnessing at food banks around the nation right now gives us some clues about what we can expect as economic conditions continue to deteriorate. In Texas, 21.4% of residents in the Houston metro area reported being food scarce between June 1st through July 13th, according to the U.S. Census Bureau's Household Pulse Survey. With inflation, with the gas prices, we are seeing a rising increase in the number of families.
Welcome to the future of roofing. What if I told you that you can get a
Families who come out to us, revealed Shane Baker, a food pantry coordinator with Catholic Charities, which partners with the Houston Food Bank. This summer, millions of children are experiencing food insecurity because they can't have access to school meals. Maya Medina, program manager at No Kid Hungry Texas, a national campaign aimed at ending childhood hunger, says that schools are often the front lines of food-insecure children, saying, during the school year, kids can rely on school meal programs like breakfast, lunch, and after-school meals. But when school is out, many of those meals disappear, Medina said. Summer is the hungriest time for a lot of our kids and teens. That means they miss out on a lot of the consistent nutrition that they used to, or that their families have to stretch their budgets even further than they anticipated. Right now, an estimated 38.3 million individuals in the United States are living in a household that is defined as food insecure. All over the country, food banks are making every effort to meet the higher demand due to decreased donations, supply chain delays, and inflation. In Chicago, Illinois, Man Yi Lee, a spokesperson for the Greater Chicago Food Depository, notes that demand for supplies is steadily rising across all of their facilities. We are definitely seeing an increase in demand for food throughout our network of 700 community partners, including food pantries, shelters, and soup kitchens, she said. With inflation at a 40-year high, prices for food items like eggs and meat are up by 19.4%, meaning that food is currently more costly now than other goods. Explained Joel Sundstrom, president and CEO of the Food Bank of Contra Costa and Solano. These prices continue to impact the most vulnerable in our community, especially in combination with elevated gas prices, supply chain shortages, and the long-term effects of the pandemic persist, Sundstrom added. A new USDA report shows that Maine now ranks 5th in the nation for very low household food security and 1st in the New England area. Food banks in the region are seeing more and more people in need of assistance. Last year, the Good Shepherd Food Bank of Maine and its partners distributed 31.6 million meals. That's a 16% increase over the prior year, according to Jessica Donahue, Director of Marketing and Communications for the organization. One of our partner agencies, Augusta Food Bank, located in central Maine, recently said the amount of food distributed by them has increased by 67% over 2 years ago, and there's no sign of it slowing down anytime soon, Donahue exposed. There are 40 to 50 cars lined up along the road leading to our Hunger Relief Partners building every Thursday morning for Free Food Thursday. During the day, they usually see 85-plus cars pass through, distributing 50,000 meals every month, she continued, emphasizing that this is only one of our nearly 600 partners. People can stay in line for up to 6 hours to be able to get a box filled with fresh produce, cereals, and non-perishables. This is the reality of what we are currently facing. So many Americans are already in desperate need, and this perfect storm is just getting started. Can you even imagine sitting in your vehicle for 6 hours, waiting to get some supplies so you can have a meal?
Jeez.
This is how desperate some families in the United States have already become. A new survey conducted by the Urban Institute found that in 2022, food insecurity rose to roughly the same level this June and July as it reached in March and April 2020. 1 in 5 adults reported experiencing food insecurity in the previous 30 days. Among adults with jobs, 17.3% said they had experienced food insecurity, compared with 16.3% in 2020, researchers highlighted. And as we mentioned at the beginning of this all-important video, the United Nations is using the word biblical to describe the famine and starvation that is coming all around the world. Recent projections released by the UN's World Food Program predicted that the number of people facing acute food insecurity stood to rise to 265 million by the end of this year, up from 135 million just a year ago. That would mean an additional 130 million people were living on the edge of starvation, largely due to the worsening global economic conditions, with wages, supply chains, and production under pressure all around the world. The International Monetary Fund warned that the global economy was likely to experience the worst financial crisis since the Great Depression, predicting global growth would contract by 3% this year. WFP Executive Director David Beasley said that if we can't reach these people with the life-saving assistance they need, our analysis shows that 300,000 people could stop.
Get away with a great deal at the Hyundai Getaway Sales Event. With new cars arriving daily, now's the time to get
starved to death every single day over a 3-month period. And this does not include the increase in starvation seen during the health crisis, he added. Beasley warned, I must warn you that if we don't prepare and act now to secure access, avoiding funding shortfalls and disruptions to trade, we could be facing multiple famines of biblical proportions within a few short months. We don't know about you, but we find that warning to be quite sobering. On a similar note, Arif Hussein, WFP senior economist, said that the global economic crisis could be catastrophic for millions who are already hanging by a thread. It is a hammer blow for millions more who can only eat if they earn a wage, he stressed. Initial United Nations forecasts show that in a worst-case scenario, about a tenth of the world's population will not have enough to eat by 2023. The impact will go beyond just hunger, as millions more are also likely to experience other forms of food insecurity, including not being able to afford healthy diets, which can lead to malnutrition and obesity, it noted. Unfortunately, even though we have already seen so many crazy things happen over the past couple of years, most people are still not prepping. When things start spinning out of control early next year, most of them are going to be short on food and supplies very rapidly. And we're going to see chaos in our local stores and massive waves of hoarding and panic buying. So much more pain is coming.
And these people always be talking about prepping, man. Man, it don't matter how much food you prep, man. It's not going to save you in Jacob's trouble, man. If you ain't prepping on the word of Yahweh Shema Shah, you are wasting your time, man. Of course, it's good to get extra food, but prepping for what, man? You can't take none of that food with you, man. These people always talking about these preppers, man. Nobody is prepping. Most of the people don't have money to prep, man. That's why the hope of the hopeful elect is Yahweh Shema Shah, man. It ain't no food, man.
But you know what? Most people don't want to face reality. Most Americans still want to believe that the future is going to be peaceful and prosperous, so they
That's that Nomus bias spirit. As Apostle Ramlab already bring out, man. That's that Nomus bias spirit, man. They think things gonna go back to normal. This is the new normal, man. And it's only gonna get worse from here, man. This is the new normal.
see absolutely no need to prepare for the turbulent times that are approaching. But we must take
You
care.
see, how do you prepare for what's coming, man? Having food, gold, and silver, that ain't gonna prepare you for what's coming, man. The scriptures say they're gonna cast their gold and silver in the streets, man. It's only gonna get you so far, man. If you don't got Yahweh Shema Shah, the people will be through, man. We'll be through, man.
Of ourselves because no one else will. And getting ready in advance is going to be crucial to survive the challenging times that are ahead of us. Act while you can, because when the window of opportunity closes, there will be nothing left to do.
You see, it's spiritual, man. Hey, and the doors of salvation is still open, but it's closing, man. It's closing. These devils putting together meetings, talking about clamping down on those that's coming against uh the government, that's speaking against the government. So the doors of mercy are closing, man. What is that? Amos 8 and 11. The word of the Lord, man. The family of the word. This is bigger than food, gold, and silver, man.
Thank you for watching.
So let me get this next clip. I got a couple more clips here I want to play. Oh, let me read this too. Let me read these two precepts. Got one here in Haggai, 1 and 5. And the brother posted the one I want to read this in Jeremiah. So let's get this. So let me read this first. Because Jake had no clue what's going on, man. Jake won about getting their outfit ready for the club this weekend, man. They don't know that we're in a recession right now, man. It's Habakkuk 1:5. Behold you among the heathen and regard and wonder marvelously. For I will work a work in your days which you will not believe, though it be told to you. It's been told, man. It's been told for 40 plus years, 50, 60 years, it's been told to you, man. From our apostles and our apostles, their elders, man. It has been told to us, man. This is Jeremiah 50 and verse Jeremiah 51 and verse 7, it reads, Babylon had been a golden cup in the Lord's hand that made all the earth drunken. The nations have drunken of her wine, therefore the nations are mad. Babylon is suddenly fallen and destroyed. Howl for her, take balm for her pain, if so be she may be healed. We would have healed Babylon, but she is not healed. Forsake her, and let us go, everyone into his own country, for her judgment reacheth unto heaven and is lifted up to the skies. This place cannot be healed, man. That's what the Lord said, come down and sit in the dust, O virgin daughter of Babylon, in Isaiah 47 and 1. This place cannot be healed, man. And they know it. Now, we were talking about this Saturday at camp, man. These devils know. They know it, man. They have scholars to read these scriptures, man. They know Yahweh shall come back with the angels in the chariots. Why do you think they building bunkers, man? You think they building bunkers to live in right now? No, man. They building these bunkers because they know that their jets and their missiles and their tanks and none of the things that they have, none of their weaponry, none of their technology is going to work against the Lord. They know it. That's why they got mountains carved out, man. Okay? With 2 of every animal. And they got a seed bank with 30 million seeds, man. Thinking they're going to make it after the destruction, man. Why do you think they have bunkers, man? It's not for them to live in right now. They know they can't escape from Yahweh's judgment, man. They know it. But they ain't going to tell the people that because everybody will be panicking. What's this movie is what's this movie with Nicolas Cage? The Knowing, right? People will be panicking, man. It'll be chaos, mayhem everywhere, man. Sedition. If they told the people right now that the earth gonna be destroyed and they can't stop it, man, this place will be laid desolate, man. Overnight. Every state in Babylon the Great and around the world, man. So they doing is they pushing lies, man. Everybody is under enchantments. But these devils know that they can't escape the Lord, man. So they're gonna hide in their bunkers, man. They know they can't get to the moon or Mars. So they're gonna hide, man. It's in the scriptures. In Isaiah 2, Revelation, what is that? Revelation chapter 6. Okay? Amos 9, man. These devils is gonna hide, man. Hey, because these are the cowards who we dealing with, man. Cowards, man.
Europe's cup of woes is spilling over. The economy is in a bad shape. For weeks, we've been talking about an impending recession. Tonight, we can tell you the Eurozone is sinking. The euro is Europe's de facto currency, and it has dropped to a 2-decade low. European economies are in dire straits. The global recession we've all been worried about could begin in Europe. Tonight on Gravitas, we'll discuss how bad this could be. We start with the story of the euro. They say the strength of a currency reflects the might of a nation. But the euro is not just any other currency. It is the identity of a united Europe. Europe has 27 countries. 19 of them use the euro as their currency. This bunch of 19 is called the Eurozone, and they're all struggling. The first big fall came in July. The euro hit parity with the dollar, meaning €1 was equal to $1. This happened for the first time in 20 years. For perspective, last July, €1 was $1.2. So last month it hit parity, and now the euro has sunk further. Today it is cheaper than the US dollar. And this is a sign of economic distress. Why is the euro losing its value? Because European economies are struggling. They're facing three major challenges. Number one, the energy crisis. Number two, the high inflation. And number three, political turmoil in some of their biggest economies. Europe was already fragile after the pandemic. These three problems have exacerbated the situation. First, the energy crisis. It could single-handedly ruin Europe's economic future. This is how it began. Russia invaded Ukraine. Europe sided with Ukraine. It backed sanctions against Russia. Russia struck back and disrupted gas supplies, and now Europe is suffering. Yes, the invasion of Ukraine has no moral justification, but Europe dug itself into a hole by sanctioning Russia without a backup for energy supplies. They're paying a hefty price for this. Experts are already counting the losses. I have some numbers for you. Supplies to 12 EU member states have been hit.
Ooh.
They've either completely lost access to Russian gas.
Hold on. Hold on. Denmark, Finland, Czech Republic, Poland, Netherlands. These are 10 horns. These are some of the 10 horns, man. Hold on. I got to read it. You see? It's all coming together, man. This is Revelation 17 and 16, man. It reads, "And the 10 horns which thou sawest upon the beast, these shall hate the whore, and shall make her desolate and naked, and shall eat her flesh, and burn her with fire," man. These are some of the 10 horns, man. Denmark, Netherlands, okay? These are some of the 10 horns, man. You see what's going on? The Lord is moving these chess pieces strategically, man.
Or they're getting only partial supply. So only 12 countries directly hit, but all of Europe will feel the impact. And it will not be a pretty picture. Consider an assessment by the IMF, the International Monetary Fund. It says 3 countries will be very badly hit: Hungary, Slovakia, and the Czech Republic. A complete end of Russian gas supplies will be a big blow to their economies. They could shrink by as much as 6%. But the worst hit will be Germany. It is the largest economy in Europe. It gets almost half of its gas supplies from Russia. If Moscow cuts off this supply completely, Berlin stands to lose a whopping $225 billion in the next 2 years. Let me repeat that, $225 billion in losses. That's what Germany faces. Yesterday, we told you how crucial their economy is to Europe. It is their growth engine. And now it's stalled. It's only a matter of time before the rest of this continent feels the impact. What's making things worse is the skyrocketing inflation. It's at a 25-year high. Inflation in Europe touched almost 10% last month. And the Eurozone is not insulated by the rising cost of living. Inflation in the 19 countries that use the euro as their currency touch almost 9%. This is the average. The numbers look pretty bad for some countries individually. Like Estonia, their inflation has crossed 23%. Latvia, over 21%. Lithuania, almost 21%. From energy to food, everything is expensive in Europe these days. Again, the numbers are scary. Energy bills in Europe have shot up by almost 40%. Food, alcohol, and tobacco, about 10%. Industrial goods, 4.5%. Services sector, 3.7%. So there is runaway inflation. And more often than not, this leads to a political shakeup. Leaders lose their jobs when prices become so high and remain high over a long period of time. The first casualty is Italy. The government of Mario Draghi has crumbled. The trigger was an economic relief package. It was aimed at addressing the rising cost of living in the country. In May, inflation touched almost 7%. That's a 36-year high. Prime Minister Mario Draghi was trying to address it, but one of his coalition partners backed out. They said Draghi's support package did not go far enough. The allies pulled support, the government collapsed. Italy will hold an election next month, in September. Investors are already worried about the outcome. Italy is the second largest economy in the European Union, so political stability is a must to address inflationary pressures and to revive Europe's economy as a whole. If Italy flounders, the rest of the Eurozone will struggle too. Investors, it seems, are losing faith. In July, they dumped Italian government bonds. Italy is being seen as a basket case. Then we have the United Kingdom, technically not part of the European Union, but a major European economy nonetheless. The UK too is struggling. As the Conservatives look for a new prime minister, inflation is biting the people. A major US bank has made a prediction, a dire prediction. It says inflation in the UK is on track to cross 18%. That would be the UK's worst inflation in almost 50 years. The Bank of England blames the energy crisis for all of this. It is officially predicting a recession.
Now, this rise in energy prices has exacerbated the fall in real incomes and so led to another significant deterioration in the outlook for activity in the UK and in the rest of Europe. GDP growth in the UK has slowed and the economy is now forecast to enter recession later this year.
This has unsettled many workers in the UK. Earlier this week, thousands of dock workers announced a strike. They're protesting for the first time in 30 years. They say they're unable to make ends meet. They want salary hikes immediately.
It's nothing to do with a national strategy or anything like that. It's something which has happened here at a local level, and it reflects what's happening elsewhere because people all over the country, I think, are feeling the same way. That's why it appears to be, perhaps it appears to be coordinated because people everywhere are feeling the same way and coming to the same conclusion. Enough is enough. We are not going to take this anymore.
And these workers are not alone. Transport staff, postal employees, garbage collectors, even some lawyers have all announced walk-offs. This is the picture of the UK. So as Ukraine completes 6 months of war, the devastation, like I said, is being felt way beyond its borders. Europe's economy is bleeding and the whole world is bracing for impact.
Hey, we know it, man. The Lord told us first in the scriptures, man. And like the brother put up, let me read this. This is GMS Prison of Yahweh, Baruch 4:31. Miserable are they that afflicted thee, and rejoice at thy fall. Miserable are the cities which thy children served. Miserable is she that received thy sons. Yeah, man. All you devils had a hand on us, man. And you got to pay. The scripture tell you what nation have not had a hand on the Israelites, man. And the Lord is bringing these nations down, man. Slowly. You gotta get some more priests out. That was beautiful. Let's play this other clip here. Hey, because these nations, but this whole end goal is to make every nation shall have the MOTB, man. So we're not ignorant of these devil devices, man. We know what's going on. Check this out.
Well, firstly, today, the United Kingdom has announced an 80% hike in electricity and gas bills, worsening the current cost of living crisis. Britain's energy regulator Ofgem announced it will increase its energy price cap in October to an average of nearly $4,200 per year, which is nearly double the current price cap of $2,323. The regulator blamed the soaring wholesale gas costs after Russia's invasion of Ukraine.
So the price cap is a cap on the price that energy suppliers can pay for units, can charge for units of energy. It's not a cap on a bill, it's a cap on the unit of energy. We've just heard that it's increased by another 80%, another £750. That's about £2,000 on a bill in a 12-month period. What it means is that an average UK energy bill is going to be around £3,500 when a year ago it was about £1,200. It is simply unaffordable for millions of people in Britain, and it's already caused huge amounts of privation, debt, anxiety, and grief, and it will only get worse as we head into the winter.
Get away with a great deal at the Hyundai Getaway Sales Event. With new cars arriving daily, now's the time to get in.
Household and business consumers, energy suppliers, and opposition politicians are calling for urgent government action. They demand the government do more to avoid putting the most vulnerable in desperate situations. This is as the Tories elect their next leader to replace Boris Johnson as Prime Minister. And with UK inflation already in double digits and forecasts to strike 13% in the coming months, the near doubling in the cap will likely throw millions into fuel poverty, forced to choose between heating or eating. And if that wasn't worrisome enough, the nation is predicted to enter recession later this year. Well, joining me for more now in London is Laura Macon-Isherwood. Laura, thanks so much for joining us. Some experts are calling this...
I want to read this real quick to lamb back what the brother had put up in Baruch 4. It's Lamentations 2:15. It reads, it say, all that pass by clap their hands at thee. They hiss and wag their head at the daughter of Jerusalem, saying, is this the city that men call the perfection of beauty, the joy of the whole earth? All thy enemies have opened their mouth against thee. They hiss and gnash their teeth. They say, we have swallowed her up. Certainly, this is the day that we look for. We have found, we have seen it. You see? And it tell you in Ezekiel 39 that the Lord said he's gonna let the heathen know that it had nothing to do with them. It had something to do with us sinning against the Lord. But all these nations, man, they clap at us, man. Let me get this. Let's get this in First Maccabees 2. That's what the Lord gonna destroy all these nations, man. This First Maccabees 2:10 it reads, what nation have not had a part in her the kingdom and gotten of her spoils? You see, all nations, man, every nation.
Rise a catastrophe. Just give us a sense of how this will work, why it's been imposed, and what people can now do.
Well, as you've explained, it's effectively a cap on the amount that people are going to be charged for the units of energy that they are supplied with in their homes. Also, a cap on the limits that suppliers can charge for simply having those households hooked up to the national grid. And
I gotta read this one. This is Tobit 3:4. It reads, for they obey not thy commandments, wherefore thou hast delivered us for a spoil, and unto captivity, and unto death, and for a proverb of reproach to all the nations among whom we are dispersed, man. All these nations, man. And they all got to pay.
Making sure that they have those supplies of gas and electricity. Now, every 3 months, we're now going to see a revision of these price caps. So it's likely that this could increase even further. The suppliers, of course, saying that they need to raise these prices because of the increased cost of energy coming from around the world since the West decided to move away from Russian supplies. Now people are racing, of course, to try to plug the gap left by those supplies, and households are having to take the brunt of those increased costs that suppliers are having to pay. So it's a bit of a knock-on effect moving down the chain, and it could push a lot of households into what's known as fuel poverty, when people are forced to spend more than 10% of their income on those electricity and gas supplies. Now, as you said, campaigners have called this catastrophic, saying that millions of people will simply not be able to pay this, not be able to basically afford the bills that land on their doormats. Now, what can people do? There's a campaign at the moment where many people are saying that they're simply going to cancel their direct debits and refuse to pay their bills once that price cap comes into play on October the 1st. However, consumer rights groups are advising people not to do that, saying instead they need to talk to their suppliers, explain their situation, and try to sort out some sort of repayment scheme, an agreement between both the customer and the supplier. There are also some grants that suppliers are offering, so it's well worth people checking with their supplier if there are those grants available for them to use. And the government, of course, is looking to this £37 billion pot of money that they're putting aside to help support families. They're going to offer £400 per year to households to help go towards those energy costs. Other payments will be offered to those on the lowest incomes, as well as those that are disabled as well. But campaigners are saying this simply isn't going to be enough to help support people as they face these astronomical bills, and ones that could get even higher next year.
And Laura, just finally, this situation goes really hand in hand with inflation. How is this energy price cap really going to have an impact on inflation in the UK?
Well, there are concerns that it's going to exacerbate this problem. The Bank of England is predicting that inflation could hit around 13% because of this increase in that price cap. It's effectively meaning that people have less in their pockets to spend on things like going out, buying other items. And so consequently, there will be an issue there in terms of the amount of money circulating within the economy, the amount that people have to spend on disposable items. There are reports as well, predictions from other financial groups that inflation rate could surpass 13%, hitting 18% next year when the next price cap rise is inevitably announced. And that will obviously increase the cost of living for people. It's going to make this problem even worse. Now, the risk then is that businesses as well will have to foot extra bills for the amount of these energy prices that are increasing. That then could be passed on to those customers within those properties as well. The situation just seems to be exacerbated by one thing and then another. And the risk now is that we are heading towards a recession, and this could cause even more of a problem for the economy and for people as we move through into next year.
Yeah, lots of economic concern for the UK, that's for sure. Thanks, Laura. That was Laura Makin-Isherwood in London for us. Now, for more, we're being joined by Hilary Ingham from London. She's an economist at Lancaster University. Hilary, thanks so much for joining us. Firstly, how serious of a situation is this economically with the price, the price cap rising, and also, as we say, inflation rising as well?
Well, it's an incredible problem. I mean, you know, that the prices are over £3,500. That's for your typical household. And I mean, it has been reported that for a lot of people, this is now going to exceed their mortgage payments. And as your last commentator said, it's not just households, there's businesses as well. And there's a report today that one hotel in the UK has actually said they're going to close in the winter simply because they won't be able to afford to heat the rooms. And of course, the other thing we have to take into account is that we are coming up to winter. And so we've got great uncertainty. And if we have a mild winter, that will, to an extent, help the problem. But if we have a severe winter, then that is going to make this far worse. So for many, many households, and it is now not just those on lower incomes, it is across the board. People are worried about how they are actually going to pay these bills. And of course, you know, we're in an inflationary situation. This is going to fuel it. You know, the 13% is recognised by the Bank of England. But again, as your last commentator said, this could be like 18%. So we're very much in a sort of inflationary time and facing a recession. So economically, you know, we are in quite a bad place.
Yeah, and a lot of people are extremely worried, as you say, about inflation reaching that 18% figure. Now, the war in Ukraine, it still doesn't really have an end in sight. And a lot of economies have been impacted badly because of that duration of that war. The longer this goes on, how much of an impact does this have on economies across the world, and especially here in the UK?
It's having a big impact because, of course, we know that Russia is actually now cutting off supplies from Nord Stream 1. But of course, we were expecting there to be additional supplies from Nord Stream 2, which is now completely off the agenda. And although we know Germany is very dependent on Russian supplies, the rest of the EU is, you know, less so. But we have to compete in world markets. And therefore, you know, supplies of liquefied gas, the price of that is going up. There's nuclear ongoing repairs to the French capacity. Norway is actually repairing its facilities as well. So we're all competing in a worldwide market. Supply has fallen, so price is going to go up. So I don't see that this problem is going to disappear in the near future. There is no indication that President Zelensky is going to be thinking about talking to the Russians about a peace deal. So I don't think we can see the end of this war for possibly another year, if not more.
Yeah, extremely worrying times ahead. Thanks so much for your...
This Obadiah 1 and 10. For thy vows against thy brother Jacob, shame shall cover thee, and thou shalt be cut off forever This verse 15. It reads, "For the day of the Lord Yahweh is near upon all the heathen. As thou hast done, it shall be done unto thee. Thy reward shall return upon thy own head. For as ye had drunk upon my holy mountain, so shall all the heathen drink continually. Yeah, they shall drink, and they shall swallow down, and they shall be as though they have not been." You got to pay, man. In all these nations, man, everybody is finna catch it, man. Why? Because you put your hands on the apple of the Lord's eye, man. The Lord say, "As thou hast done to my anointed," man. Let me get this. I got one more clip here. You gotta pay, man. You devils gotta pay, man. And the Lord is showing us. All we gotta do is hey, keep praying to Yahweh Shema Bashar for patience, man. Because the Lord is turning this place upside down or right side up. So let's play this.
Welcome back again, everyone. It's Dina Calmetta here. And for today's show, I do have some headlines I'd like to share with you that have occurred in the last few days. And I'd like to start with China today. It is being reported that Taiwan's defense ministry said it had detected 23 Chinese aircraft and 8 Chinese ships operating around the island on Sunday. The ministry said 7 of the Chinese aircraft crossed the median line of the Taiwan Strait, which normally acts as an unofficial barrier between the two sides. Beijing has threatened that it's ready to defeat any provocation, just as 2 U.S. Navy warships also sailed through the international waters in the Taiwan Strait. The 2 warships sailed through the waters on August 28th in the first such operation since a visit to Taiwan by Nancy Pelosi. The U.S. Navy said that their cruisers were carrying out an ongoing operation, and such movements usually take 8 to 12 hours to complete and are closely monitored by China's military. The U.S. Navy added that the operation demonstrates the United States' commitment to a free and open Indo-Pacific, and the U.S. military flies, sails, and operates anywhere international law allows. The Chinese military said it was following the ships and warning them at the time. It also said in a statement that troops in the theater remain on high alert and are ready to thwart any provocation at any time. It goes on further to report that experts are warning that World War III is an ever-growing threat as the U.S. and China near a dangerous situation over Taiwan. U.S. lawmakers have followed in the footsteps of Nancy Pelosi in visiting Taiwan as China continues to threaten the island. Senator Marsha Blackburn said that she will not let China prevent her from visiting Taiwan. She said that Taiwan is our strongest partner in the Indo-Pacific region. Regular high-level visits to Taipei are a long-standing U.S. policy. She went on to conclude that I will not be bullied by communist China into turning my back on the island. Kristen Guinness, an expert on the Chinese military, told the Financial Times that hostility between Washington and Beijing is leading to a dangerous situation. She stated that China's presence in the waters and airspace around Taiwan demonstrates that they can control it if they wish to. It is a dangerous time in terms of potential for escalation when you have a normalized PLA Chinese military presence that could potentially restrict freedom of operations and freedom of movement, which is key to U.S. objective. And Ashley Townsend, senior fellow at the Carnegie Endowment for International Peace think tank, warns that the U.S. and Taiwan are now at a disadvantage. And this is because China is more willing to escalate while the U.S. wants to keep the situation calm, she argued. She went on to state that the status quo has been reset in ways less favorable to the U.S. and Taiwan, and there are no good options for the U.S. to respond to this. And like all status quo players, if you play responsibly and your adversary is willing to escalate, you lose the round. In the meantime, North Dakota residents are fighting a Chinese company that wants to build a corn mill near a United States Air Force base. The Fufeng Group, which has ties to the Chinese Communist Party, purchased 370 acres for a proposed $700 million corn mill. It will be located about 12 miles from the Grand Forks Air Force Base. A Grand Forks resident is working with a legal team that is gathering signatures on a petition to put the Fufeng corn mill to a vote, stating to a news outlet that in terms of Grand Forks, its water use, pollution, and smell, in terms of national, it is a security. Everyone should be worried nationally about the security issues as well as locally. The project has also caught the attention of lawmakers in Washington, with Senator John Hoeven stating that because of security concerns, it'd be better to find some other company to work with on the ag part. Senator Mike Rounds, introduced a law blacklisting China and other countries antagonistic to the U.S. from purchasing or acquiring agricultural businesses or land in America. Mr. Rounds said in a statement that as a member of the Senate Armed Services Committee, I was alarmed when a Chinese company recently purchased farmland near an Air Force base in North Dakota. This acquisition could threaten our national security by allowing the Chinese Communist Party to closely monitor the operations and communications at a very important military facility. So this is obviously a very threatening situation. Why is the Communist Chinese Party buying land in America next to a United States Air Force base? Nothing good can come from this. And this isn't the first time we've heard of this. I have brought you guys reports in the past, whereas China has bought other agricultural land in the US. This could only be for nefarious reasons. And why are we allowing it? Why wasn't the US government on top of this? So this is certainly something to keep our eye on, as well as what's happening in the Taiwan Strait. We have to also remember that China is buddies with Russia, who will be holding war games with Russia and India and Laos and Mongolia and Nicaragua and Syria. This is going to kick off September 1st and go through the 7th. It will involve more than 50,000 troops, over 5,000 weapons units, including 140 aircraft and 60 warships. The Russian ministry said that units of Russian airborne troops, long-range bombers, and military cargo planes will take part in the drills along with the other forces. It is also noted, as part of the maneuvers, the Russian and Chinese navies in the Sea of Japan will practice joint action to protect sea communications, areas of marine economic activity, and support for ground troops in littoral areas. Now, this, of course, is just a really quick update in regards to these exercises because I did report on it last week. But for anybody that hadn't heard that report, there you have it. In the meantime, speaking of Russia, the size of the Russian military is set to increase to 1.15 million troops by next year. The decree, published on the government's website, adds 130,000 to the ranks of the armed forces from January 1st, 2023. It also instructs the cabinet to allocate the necessary funds for the expansion. With that being said, the U.S. is accelerating production of the High Mobility Artillery Rocket Systems, or HIMARS, in order to help Ukraine, according to a Pentagon official. The Pentagon has signed a $182 million deal with U.S. arms manufacturer Raytheon to produce the surface-to-air missile systems for the Ukrainian military. The work on short and medium-range air defense weaponry will be conducted at the facilities in Massachusetts, with an estimated completion date of August 23rd, 2024. Just last week, Joe Biden announced yet another military aid package for Ukraine at $2.98 billion in its largest to date. It goes on finally to report that Moscow has been critical of weapon supplies to Ukraine by Washington and its allies, saying that they only prolong the conflict and increase the risk of a direct confrontation between NATO and Russia. And with that said, I would like to move on to another dangerous situation. It is being reported that Turkey's vice president and defense minister launched a barrage of threats towards Greece last week. The defense minister stated on Friday that Greece should not undergo new adventures in the region, while marking the 100th anniversary of an attack by Turkish forces on the Greeks in 1922. He said in a newspaper, "In these days when we celebrate the 100th anniversary of their great victory, we say clearly to Greece that you saw how painful was the price of the adventure that began a century ago. We strongly recommend that you learn from history and avoid new adventures that will lead to disappointment."
Before we continue, let me read this. Because these nations, man, they have no clue what's going on. They don't have no clue, man. This Isaiah 25:10, it reads, "For in this mountain shall the hand of the Lord rest, and Moab shall be trodden down under him, even as straw is trodden down for the dunghill. And he shall spread forth his hand in the midst of them, as he that swimmeth spreadeth forth his hand to swim. And he shall bring down their pride together with the spoils of their hands. And the fortress of the high fort of thy walls shall he bring down, lay low, and bring to the ground, even to the dust." That's Moab. All these nations finna get it, man. And look how the Lord got these devils separated, man. Let's read this. In Mark chapter 3, this is Mark 3. And that's why I say the end of their times shall come through them, man. These is Job 9:24s, man. Mark 3:23, it reads, "And he called them unto him and said unto them in parables, How can Satan cast out Satan? And if a kingdom be divided against itself, that kingdom cannot stand. And if a house be divided against itself, that house cannot stand. And if Satan rise up against himself and be divided, he cannot stand but have an end. This is Luke 11:17. It reads, but he knowing their thoughts said unto them, every kingdom divided against itself is brought to desolation, and a house divided against a house falleth. This is Daniel chapter 2 and 43, reading the point. It reads, and whereas thou sawest iron mixed with miry clay, they shall mingle themselves with the seed of men. Talking about the Edomites, they're going to mingle themselves with the seed of men, but they shall not cleave one to another, even as iron is not mixed with miry clay. So what we see the Lord, and these devils have been separated from the beginning, man. Since the time of the Greeks, man, with Alexander the Greek, man, his 4 generals, they have been separated even from then. They have never been on one accord. Everybody is at everybody's throat for the crown, man. And you know this went on in Israel, man, with the northern and the southern kingdom. We was at war. When you read the book of Acts, the book of Kings, when you read the book of Chronicles, this was Israel, man. Northern and southern kingdom, just like today, man. Just like today. You got Jake gang banging, right? This is the same thing that went on in the ancient time with Jake, man. Banging on each other for the crown, man. And some Jakes ain't even sit on the throne but a couple of days, man. And they was killed, man. This is the Lord showing us, man, who's in power of the earth, man. This is Proverbs 21:1. It reads, the king's heart is in the hand of Yahweh Shemawashah, as the rivers of water. He turneth it whithersoever he will, man. And we know the end goal for these devils is destruction, man. But the Lord, he's scrambling these devils, man. They don't know what's going on.
Following after his speech, the Turkish vice president also threatened Greece, saying that on the centenary, when such a powerful Turkey exists, as it does within the Blue Homeland, can those that recklessly and illegally fight display the same courage? The Greek, then as now, does not have courage, not the Greek nor anyone else. Wow. It goes on further to report that tensions between Turkey and Greece have been at a high level for several years, as Turkey has threatened to open the gates to Europe for migrants, and briefly did so in 2020. The latest tensions between the two NATO allies have largely revolved around natural resource exploration, and Turkish claims that Greece is militarizing the Aegean Islands. And to add fuel to the fire, Greek air defense systems placed a radar lock on Turkish aircraft that were flying a reconnaissance mission in a move that NATO rules describes as a hostile act. The Turkish F-16 jets were conducting an operation in the Aegean Sea and Eastern Mediterranean in international airspace on August 23rd when they were locked on by a Russian-made S-300 air defense complex stationed on the island of Crete. The Turkish jets apparently picked up that they were in the crosshairs of a weapon as they flew at an altitude of 3,000 meters and to the west of the islands of Rhodes. Greek media denounced the Turkish mission as a provocation, arguing that Turkey was trying to reveal the S-300 position on Crete. While the aircraft completed their mission and returned safely to their bases, such actions are considered hostile under NATO rules of engagement. It described the incident as incompatible with the spirit of the alliance, given that both Turkey and Greece are members of the military alliance. So very interesting news there in regards to Turkey and Greece, and something that we need to keep our eyes on. In the meantime, over in Syria, an Israeli airstrike destroyed over 1,000 Iran-made missiles in Syria last week. The warehouse in the city's Syrian Scientific Studies and Research Center stored thousands of medium-range surface-to-surface missiles assembled under the supervision of the Iranian expert officers. Syrian air defense systems were activated in northwestern Syria on Thursday, with Syria State News Agency reporting that local forces were confronting hostile targets. The agency also said that the airstrike was an Israeli attack. In the meantime...
Hold on, I gotta read this. Salakia. Hold on, I gotta read this. Man, you see what's going on? Jake warned about getting their outfit ready for the club this weekend, man. And the Lord stirring up war, like stirring up jealousy. Hey, let's read this. It's Isaiah 42:13. It reads, Yahweh shall go forth as a mighty man. He shall stir up jealousy like a man of war. He shall cry, yell, roar. He shall prevail against his enemies. I have long time hold of my peace. I have been still and refrained myself. Now will I cry like a travailing woman. I will destroy and devour at once, man. This is the Lord speaking, man. He been sitting back holding their peace for the longest, man. No, we in his prophecy, man. While Jake won by getting their outfit ready for the for the club this weekend, man. The Lord is bringing forth all kind of prophecies, man. We don't got long, man. These devils talking about changing the whole the currency system on December the 13th, man. We here, man. Lord willing. Lord willing. Hey, Lord willing, man. Because I'm sick of looking at these devils, man.
And systems were activated in northwestern Syria on Thursday, with Syria State News Agency reporting that local forces were confronting hostile targets. The agency also said that the airstrike was an Israeli attack. In the meantime, speaking of Israel, it is being reported that Israeli Prime Minister Lapid has been frustrated with the inability to get Joe Biden on the phone. Israel's intelligence chief is headed to Washington this week to discuss Biden's designs on a new nuclear deal with Iran. Mossad chief David Barnea, who is hawkish against Iran becoming a nuclear power, will meet with the Senate and House Intelligence Committees, according to the Jerusalem Post. With that said, Lapid has not spoken with Biden or...
This is confusion. Now, these devils talk about making a deal with Iran because Iran about to join the BRICS nations, man. You see? These devils think they slick. Now they want to try to hold Iran from joining the BRICS, man. Because if Iran join the BRICS, man, which the prophets say they're going to do it anyway, but this is the Lord playing chess, man. This is how Yahweh Shema Shah play chess, man. This is how he moved these bishops and pawns and rookies and knights, okay? And these kings, man. This is how the Lord worked, man. Now they trying to give helping Iran with a deal to stop them from joining the BRICS nations, man. That's not going to stop the will of the Lord, man. Prophecy will be fulfilled, man. And the scriptures say that Iran and Russia is the same two nations that took down the ancient Babylonians, man. It's going to say there's nothing new under the sun, man. But this is confusion. But this is the Lord. This is how Yahweh Shema Shah play chess, man.
Secretary of State Anthony Blinken for weeks. Lapid echoed the U.S.'s call for a longer and stronger nuclear deal with Iran on Sunday, with the caveat that a bad deal is worse than no deal. Such an agreement, he said, can only be reached with a credible military threat, so the Iranians see that they will have to pay a heavy price for their recalcitrance. With that being said, the Iranian president on Monday warned that his country would not be party to a nuclear deal if UN inspectors did not drop their investigation of undeclared nuclear sites and issued a threat to Israel against carrying out military action. Israel has warned that the deal is far worse than its 2015 predecessor and would allow Iran to acquire a nuclear bomb by 2031. The IAEA has demanded answers from Iran on enriched Ukrainian particles found at 3 sites that were undeclared by Iran to have nuclear activity. Without settling the issue of the traces, the Iranian president warned on Monday that speaking about an agreement has no meaning. It goes on finally to report that Iran has blamed Israel for a spate of recent attacks on its nuclear sites, as well as a senior scientist. Israel has made it clear that it is not obligated by the nuclear agreement, should it be signed, and it will do whatever is necessary to prevent Iran from obtaining a bomb. The Iranian president on Monday warned that if Israel goes ahead with its threats to destroy Iran's nuclear program, it will see if anything from the Zionist regime will remain or not. So those are definitely some fighting words. Will Iran follow through? Probably, but I think the bigger question is, will Israel follow through on their threats? And I can say with 99.9% that they will. So certainly some very high tensions from China to Taiwan, the US, Turkey, Greece, Russia, Ukraine, Israel, and Iran. Sounds a lot like wars and rumors of wars and distress of nations. And as always, I will continue.
Man, the Lord got, he got Jake. All this is playing out, and Jake getting their outfit ready for the club on Friday and Saturday, man. I'm telling you, that's what Jake mind at, man, and buying drinks. The Lord got Babylon the Great spread it out, man. They trying to defend Taiwan from China. They have to defend Israel from whoever, from Iran, and they trying to defend Ukraine from Russia, man. That's spread it out, man. And these devils ain't even taking care of home, man. Babylon the Great is hurting, man. But they putting all their interest in everywhere else. But that's prophecy in Habakkuk 2, man. These devils, man. This is Habakkuk chapter 2 in verse 4 reads, Behold, his soul which is lifted up is not upright in him, but the just shall live by faith. Yea, also because he transgresseth by wine, he is a proud man, neither keepeth at home, who enlargeth his desire is hell, and is as death, and cannot be satisfied, but gathereth unto him all nations, and heapeth unto him all people. These devils, they can't. North America is hurting, man. Okay? You got tent cities, you got Skid Row. This place is hurting, man. And they everywhere else warned by everybody else, man. Shall not all these take up a parable against him, and a taunted proverb against him, and say, Woe to him that increaseth that which is not his, how long? And to him that laden himself with thick clay. North America, Babylon the Great is in debt, man. You're talking about some 30 trillion. No, it's over 200, man. Over 200 trillion this place is in debt, man. Shall they not rise up suddenly that shall bite thee, and the weight that vex thee, that shall vex thee, and thou shalt be for booties unto them, because thou hast spoiled many nations, all the remnant of the people shall spoil thee, because of men's blood, and for the violence of the land, and all the city, and all that dwell therein. See, these devils is destroying the earth, man. So now you got these nations. This is Job 18. What's that? Job 18 and 7. All these nations is going to separate from Babylon, man. It's just a matter of time. And we see how it's playing out, man. It say the steps of his strength shall be straightening, and his own counsel shall cast him down, man. It's their own counsel. Their own counsel shall cast him down. This is Job 20 and 22, it reads, In the fullness of his sufficiency, he shall be in straits, like it just said in Job 18 and 7. Every hand of the wicked shall come upon him. And then that word hand means laborers, man. Everyone that's laboring, okay? This devil is taking people. Hey, we on the bottom, man. Everybody on the bottom because of these devils, man. This is for young Yashala. This devil got everybody hurting, man. And it's because of these Edomites. This is Judith 16 and 17. Woe to the nations that rise up against my kindred. The Lord Almighty will take vengeance of them in the day of judgment, and putting fire and worms in their flesh. And they shall feel them and weep forever. Yeah, man. And this is how it look. Hey, when the kingdom is going down, this is what it looked like, man. Because the Lord said it, man. What is that? Isaiah 14. Let me read this. It's Isaiah 14 in verse 9. It reads, Hell from beneath is moved for thee to meet thee at thy coming. Yeah, all the trials and tribulations, all the adversity and afflictions, all the atrocities, okay, all the rape, rob, murder, pillaging, and plundering you have done to these nations is going to happen to you devils now. It stirreth up the dead for thee, even all the chief ones of the earth. It have raised up from their thrones all the kings of the nations, man. Now, everybody point a finger at these devils. And as the brother Naharia, the head brother of the camp, always say, hey, because of these devils, now every nation got guns, man. Now everybody got to have guns. Everybody got to have a missile defense system. And it's all pointed at Esau Edom, man. Now everybody got to have guns because of these devils, man. It say all they shall speak and say unto thee, art thou also become weak as we? Art thou become like unto us? Thy pomp is brought down to the grave, and the nose of thy vows the worms spread under thee, and the worms covered thee. And the Lord showed us this with Antiochus Epiphanes, man. Destroyed from the inside out. Did the same thing to Herod, man. Okay? These Idumeans, man. The Lord is destroying them from the inside out, man. And everybody got their weapons pointed at these devils, man. They the reason why everybody got weapons, man. Because everybody got to defend themselves from these devils. And even in, I'm talking about the heathen nations, even inside of the Edomite nation, they got to point weapons at each other, man. In Psalm 75, the Lord said this to us first, right? But he said it to these devils, man. This is Psalm 75:4. I said unto the fools, deal not foolishly, and to the wicked, lift not up the horn. Lift not up your horn on high, speak not with a stiff neck. For promotion cometh neither from the east, nor from the west, nor from the south. But power is the judge. He putteth down one and setteth up another. Now we seeing is there's a transition of power, man, happening in the earth, man. A transition of power. These devils is going down, and the Lord is raising up the elect of Israel, man. The nation of Israel is being raised up through the elect, through the hopeful elect, man. That's what's going on. All these things is happening because the Lord is putting down these nations and raising up the elect of Israel, man. That's what's happening. It's a transition of power, man. Call out Yahweh Shema Shah. Hey, so Lord was edifying. Got to give all praises and glory to Yahweh Bahashim Yahweh Shah Bahashim Rakah Kodash. The bonus to the apostles and the bishops and elders, a great millstone, rule well, who teach well. Well, the apostles and elders of all of Israel, ready to accept it or not. In a sincere salutation to all the Akim pushing this truth and believing this truth throughout the four winds of the earth, the entire world, working up the hopeful elect. Shalom to the Akwath who are listening and learning. You few sisters who are listening and learning. Lord was edified to next time I say Shalom. Walk the ball. I'm gonna close these two precepts. This is Psalms 33:10, and reads, the Lord bringeth the counsel of the heathen to naught. He maketh the devices of the people of none effect. The counsel of Yahweh Ba'ashim Shah standeth forever, the thoughts of his heart to all generations. So this is the counsel of the Lord, man. How he's stirring up the kings of the nations, man. Okay, so he's gonna stir up war, he's gonna stir up jealousy, man. Okay, he's stirring up jealousy amongst these nations, man. This is Job 5:12. It reads, he disappointed the devices of the crafty, so that their hands cannot perform their enterprise. He taketh the wise in their own craftiness, and the counsel of the forward is carried headlong, man. And we see it happening. It said they meet with darkness in the daytime and grope in the noonday as in the night. That's what happened to us. They made us grope. They made so-called Negro, Latino, Native Americans, West Indians, Haitians grope at noonday, man. Now the Lord got them doing it, man. This is the Lord showing his power on the earth, showing his magnificent power, man. His omnipotence, man, in the earth, man. Now these devils is groping. They don't know what's going on, man. It's the Lord. Let me get one more. Psalms 21:11. It reads, for they intended evil against thee. They imagine a mischievous device which they are not able to perform, man. They ain't gonna be able to perform, man. The Lord got them scattering, man. Their brains is scattering everywhere, man. Okay? But this is for us to see. These are the things the Lord is showing us, man. I gotta read this again. In Habakkuk 1, the Lord said it, man. Habakkuk 1:5. Behold ye among the heathen, and regard and wonder marvelously. For I will work in your days, which you would not believe, though it be told to you, man. Okay? We seeing it. Now the ones that heard what the apostle said, and we cleaved to it. We believed it, man. It didn't take us 2 or 3 times. I believed the first day I heard this truth, man. Everything I heard, I believed it. You still got Jake in 2022 still crying about Shiva Jatas in the name of the Lord, man. And the simplest thing is marrying the whole virgin birth, man. Jake's is bugged out, man. But you know what? It's for them that's in the know, man. That's why Yahweh Shah said, the mysteries of the kingdom of heaven is for you. It's not for them, man. Hey, so to walk for tuning in. Until next time, I say shalom. Walk with Baba Boss. Walk for your precepts. Stay prayed up, man. Stay prayed up, man. Key. Stay prayed up. Call on Yahweh while Yahweh Shai, man.